Now turn to Section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Part of the role of university education is to prepare students for their professional life and career. Part of this preparation is to introduce and train students in lifelong learning, preparing them to approach their career as a continuous learning experience, rather than assuming that the end of their university education represents an end goal beyond which there is no need for further learning. Therefore, students are encouraged to develop as independent learners. An independent learner is one who takes responsibility for his or her own learning, and is not always dependent on teacher being available to guide and correct. Such a student sets their own learning goals, makes their own decisions as to when and how to study for these goals, and also evaluates their own progress and develops further goals. This is not always easy for students, particularly those whose secondary education has been very teacher-focused, with teaching conducted mainly in lecture format, and with little opportunity for the students to take any control of the learning process. At university, while much teaching is conducted via lectures, students are expected to become increasingly independent in their learning. Departments approach this issue in a number of ways. For example, they might provide personal mentors. This could be a student or a member of staff who is available to discuss problems that the student might have, and who will support the student in the process of becoming an independent learner. The second one requires the student to make certain choices about their course, either in the elements they choose to learn or in the way in which they choose to learn them. Thirdly, there is the provision of learning opportunities outside the confines of the campus, including study trips and student exchanges. In the English Language Centre, we try to help the development of learner independence. This English Language Centre is a self-access one. A self-access centre is a place where learners come voluntarily to improve the subject that they are studying. In the case of the English Language Centre, we focus on English language. In a self-access centre, it is the student who decides what to study, when to study, how long to study, what materials to use, how to use the materials, and how to assess effectiveness. The learner is not, however, left totally alone. Learners are encouraged to come to the centre in groups, so that they can help each other in the learning process, and there is also always an English teacher available to answer any questions that students might have, to discuss their progress, and to help the learner assess their work. Let's take an example. Mary and her friend Jim have decided they need to improve their report writing skills. They decide to go to the ELC twice in the next week, for 2 hours each time, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. The first thing they do is talk to the English teacher there, to help them identify what particular elements of writing a report they find especially difficult. Having done this, they identify suitable books, videos, or computer programs from the index, with help from the teacher if needed. Looking at the materials, they decide which to use first, and how to best to use it. Working through the materials, they discuss problems with each other, compare notes, and evaluate each other's work and progress. This process of working together is important, as the students are able to support each other in the learning process. Of course, sometimes they need more help, and so they ask the English teacher at the centre. When they have finished their studies, they review what they have studied, with help from their notes, and evaluate the extent to which they have, or have not, achieved their initial aim. In the light of this, they will decide to either do more work on the same topic or move to another topic, either related to this one or something completely different. There are many ways students can improve their English independently of a teacher. Firstly, they can use English language videos in conjunction with learning activities, such as exercises to practice particular listening skills, questions to lead discussions on the topic introduced by the video. They can do follow-up tasks that use the content of the video to focus on other language skills, such as learning vocabulary or understanding the grammar used by the characters in the video. Secondly, they can use a computer program to improve their pronunciation by identifying and then practicing the individual sounds used in English. Thirdly, they can use a book to find a model business letter, for example, writing one of the same type but with different information, and then discussing it with the ELC teacher before finally rewriting it. Finally, they can use newspapers or magazines as stimuli for discussion activities, with a brief report written at the end, summarizing the discussion. However, the development of an independent learner is not dependent on a centre like the ELC. Within the university, as well as within individual departments, the library, the Student Affairs Office and the Student Union all provide a range of opportunities for the student to develop as an independent learner. Outside the campus, the opportunities are both physical and virtual. Physical ones include libraries, museums and other centres, as well as various special interest groups. In the virtual world of the Internet, the opportunities are both global and vast. To conclude, in a world in which change is central to our continued survival, the professional must have the adaptability and flexibility of a lifelong learner. A lifelong learner must be an independent learner, able to take responsibility for all stages of the learning process. It is the student's responsibility to take advantage of the various opportunities on offer. That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test, the IELTS test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.